Over 2 million people in Houston have no electricity after Hurricane Beryl hit. That is an absolutely outrageous amount of people. That's about half of the entire city. And the electricity company that manages everything for the city's CenterPoint has deployed 11,500 workers to desperately try to restore power. And they said at peak, 2.26 million customers lost power, which is, again, about half of the city. It's an outrageous amount of power. And one of the only reasons we know that to be accurate, since CenterPoint Power doesn't have, say, a custom dashboard or any sort of public-facing information, is the Whataburger app. Because the Whataburger app will show you which locations are available to take orders and which ones are closed. And it'll go ahead and zoom in. You can see that, honestly, according to this, maybe a little bit more than half of the city's Whataburgers are completely shut down, especially in the city center here. And they say climate change doesn't cause damage. Here's a website saying that Houston is currently under a heat advisory. The heat index is 106 degrees while half the city doesn't have power. This is a photo from Houston. It's all flooded. Joel Osteen, of course, has locked up the church doors, so nobody's going to be getting any community service from the mega churches there. Houston Airport's in recovery mode. NRG Stadium roof appears to be damaged. There's boil notices for a couple of different counties nearby. Cooling centers have opened in Houston so that the elderly don't literally bake to death and die. We're under a heat advisory. It seems like 7 confirmed dead after the hurricane's landfall. It's just total chaos. Absolute total chaos. And the sad thing about this is that this is a problem that was probably 80 years in the making. This is what we get for burning fossil sauce and polluting infinitely without any care for the environment. And you say, oh, bad hurricanes happen. Houston always gets hit by power. And well, that's true, but these are going to happen a lot more frequently. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but within a decade or so, this is going to be happening all the time in Houston. And since Houston, again, their electricity provider doesn't even have the resources to repair or weatherproof or have public-facing dashboards, such that we have to rely on the Whataburger app to know what areas have power and which ones don't, they're not going to improve anything. The power is just going to stay down because it's going to keep getting hammered by really powerful hurricanes. The world's first mouse model with fully functional human immune system has been developed and is now available for research. And why this matters is because we're always researching on these cute, adorable little white mice for various cosmetics, drugs, medicines to see if our technology is working. But at the end of the day, there's a difference between a person like me and this cute, fluffy little mouse over here. He's similar to me, but not quite. So what they wanted to do is offer a more viable approach to use of non-human primates in immunological and microbiological research. More specifically, scientists have successfully engineered a mouse model that has a complete and functional human immune system, and the model is also reported to have a human-like gut microbiome that is capable of generating antibody-specific responses. So basically, we are genetically engineering mice to be more like humans, at least in terms of the immune system. So this was created at the University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio, and these are known as TrueX, or for Truly Human, or THX, which was honestly a little bit creepy for me. For you cinema buffs out there, you might remember THX 1138, which is one of George Lucas's first film. Honestly, a very poignant movie that still sticks with me to this day, many years after seeing it. I don't think it's aged super well in terms of special effects. It's one of those late 70s things. Totally worth checking out just for the ideas presented. But the ideas presented here are that the model, and I keep saying model, it's a mouse, has lymph nodes, germinal centers, thymus human epithelial cells, human T and B lymphocytes, memory B lymphocytes, plasma cells that produce highly specific antibody and autoantibodies identical to those found in human, according to the researchers. So basically, it's an insanely better way for scientists to test human immune system responses and human immune system changes in almost any sort of study with the human immune system. Interestingly, the mice can also develop lupus autoimmunity after getting a pristane injection. Never heard of that before. So while this is great for us, perhaps it's not as good for our furry friends over here, but over the next, 20, 30, 40 years, we'll probably have a variety of very successful scientific studies using this new mouse model, and it will indefinitely save lives. New research from the University of Queensland, Australia, and its Institute for Molecular Bioscience has revealed a master controller of both development and aging in terms of genetics. So the IMB researchers have unlocked crucial molecular secrets of aging in cells, potentially paving the way to improve the quality of life as people age. And we're going to skip down to exactly what they found. They analyzed data sets in both people and mice and looked at different genes and how they were activated over time. And they found that master controller genes regulate which genes are turned on and off in our cells, making sure that each cell does its specific job, just as the conductor directs musicians to produce different sounds. They call it the Master Regulator Activator Protein 1, or AP1, and found that it progressively activates adult genes as you age while dialing down childhood and development genes, typically growth genes. And it does so in an extremely predictable process. And what's important about this is that the doctors believe that by pinpointing this gene and perhaps activating it at different times, activating it more, activating it less, it could perhaps reactivate some of those regenerative youth genes. And it may not extend your life. You may not turn back into a child and live forever, but you might have healthier skin, healthier bones, faster recovery from injuries, basically extend the quality of your life, as they say right here. Here's the doctor that led the team for the research, but there were 15 other people involved from universities all over the world. I think this is great. I think that this is the kind of thing, like, this is good science. We've been looking for an aging gene, and this is probably the most revealing one that we found. Let's start off today with a little bit of climate change doomerism. I'm sure that most of you are familiar with the fact that Hurricane Beryl is a record-breaking hurricane in that it is the earliest Category 5 on record, and as the BBC says, a sign of a warming world. Hurricane season now lasts longer and produces more intense hurricanes. You can actually see the little scatograph here with Beryl on the left-hand side being the earliest Category 5 hurricane ever recorded, and just the early hurricane in general. But while this is going on, Las Vegas has smashed its all-time record high temperature by 3 degrees, going up to 120 degrees, often exceeding 100 degrees in the morning. Palm Springs is at 124 degrees right now. Fresno, California, not exactly known for being insanely hot, 111, 110, 112, depending on where you're measuring. And you would think, okay, so, maybe we have a hurricane on the East Coast and the West Coast has it bad. You would expect that weather is a little bit of a yin and a yang, hot somewhere, cold somewhere. Well, East Coast is also hot. East Coast isn't getting it as bad as West Coast, but they're still, I called it West Coast, but they're still breaking temperature records all over. And it's not like this is a new thing, like an anomalous summer. June was the 13th straight month to beat a overall global heat record, and July is gonna maybe be even hotter than that. It's like insane. It's like every month is hotter than the last month, albeit only incrementally, like a frog in a pot boiling. You just don't notice until it's literally right on top of you, like this hurricane. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a point to this. I just sit here and preach over and over and over again that climate change is bad and it will destroy things, and hope that enough people somewhere someday care and we can move to greener technology.